In this video, we are going to talk about 3 Python projects that you can make and integrate with AI. These projects are going to be absolutely amazing and they will help you to get started with using AI agents and coding them in Python. Hi, my name is Aman Saurav and I'm an IT Delhi alumni and I welcome you all to this video. Now let's talk about the 3 Python projects that we're going to build here. In the first Python project, we are going to learn how to call AI agents and give it tools to do some kind of operation. In the second one, I'm going to show you how to make a resume critiquer. You can give it any resume and you can give it a target position and it will tell you what improvements need to be made in that resume so as to make it much more effective and help you crack more interviews. And in the final project, I'm going to show you how you can make an image classifier. You can use it to classify any sorts of image. You can give it an image that could be of a dog, it could be of a cat, it could be of a car, whatever you'd like, and it can classify it for you and give you the results. So without much further ado, let's get started. So I have my VS Code opened up right here. I have 3 folders here, project 1, project 2 and project 3. Right now we are going to start with the first project, which is your making an AI agent using Python. So let's get started. So I'm going to open up my terminal right here and I just want to cd into project 1. First of all, I'm going to use the UV Python tool. It's basically a very good substitute for pip. You can use UV for a lot of things that pip can do. Apart from that, we're also going to need an API key from any of the popular AI tools or LLMs. You can use Grok, you can use Claude, you can use ChatGPT. Of course, I'm going to go ahead with OpenAI, which is what most of us are familiar with. I'll also show you how you can get the API key as well. Now, so I'm in my project 1 right now. I do have UV installed. If you do not have UV installed in your system, you can install it and I'll provide the link down in the description. Once you have UV installed, and I am right now in my project 1 folder, what do I have to do is I'm going to initialize the project. How do we do that? We do it by using UV init dot. Okay, so this basically initializes the project right here, and if you notice right inside project 1 we have all of these files. We don't need the readme or the PyProject toml, we just need the main py. Right now this has something, you can delete all of this, not really necessary. And apart from that, you can also use a virtual environment. It is entirely up to you. VS Code by default already sort of maintains a virtual environment like behavior, so we don't have to worry about it. Apart from that, now we do have to install some dependencies. So let's first add the dependencies. Now, how do we do that in UV? So it's pretty simple. You do UV add. Now, the dependencies that we need are LangChain, LangGraph, LangChain, OpenAI, and we also need Python.env. Okay, so these couple of things are absolutely needed, so we get those. All right, let's finish it. So we notice a new environment. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so we'll wait for it to load up, and probably I should zoom in a little bit. I hope this is much more visible. All right, so now that we do have dependencies installed, I am right now in my main.py and we can, start with writing some of the code. Of course, the first thing that we will do is we will get the dependencies, but before that, we also have to get our API key from OpenAI. Now, how do you get that? I'll put the link again down in the description, but how do you get your API key? We'll do that in just 1 second. Let me first tell you what all you need to do. So right here, I'll also create one more file and I'm going to call the file .env. This is where I'll add my API key. Okay, so I'll add the .env file right here. And in this env file, I just have to mention one simple thing, that is open API key is equal to. Now, where do you get the API key? For that, you need to go to your browser and go to this particular website, which is platform.openai.com/API keys. Okay, now in this, of course, you will have to log in or sign up. So I'm going to log in. Now that I have logged in, although I have already created an API key, but I'm going to delete that and I'm going to show you how do we do that once again. So right now I don't have any API key. I am on the website platform.openapi.com/API keys. Now here you have to create a new secret key. Now your secret key is secret. keep it to yourself. Do not share it. Okay, so I'm going to create a new secret key and I'm going to say it's for Python projects. Okay, Python projects 1 2 3. 1 2 3. Okay, so I'm going to leave the rest of them as it is, and when I'm going to create the secret key. Okay, now I have the secret key. Again, do not share it with anyone. I know that this much is visible. It's perfectly fine. You cannot steal that just from this much. So I'm going to copy this. Okay, done. I'm going to move away from this. Now I'm going to paste my API key right here. I have it pasted. Don't see my API key. I'm going to save it, and then I'm going to go back to my main.py. Okay, I have my credentials stored in this .env file, which is in the same folder as project 1, and we're going to use that in just a while. Now, so let's start with the dependencies first. Of course, the first thing that you should always do is, import whatever dependencies or libraries you require. So in this case, I'm going to start with from LangChain. I'm going to not just LangChain, from LangChain core messages, import human message. Okay, then from LangChain OpenAI, I'm going to import chat OpenAI. From LangChain tools, import tool. I'm going to show you why we are going to use all of this. What's the difference between an AI agent and a chatbot? Now, really the difference between an AI agent and a chatbot is that an AI agent can use tools. A chatbot cannot use tools. What should be the difference? We'll come to that. Import tools, and then what else do we need? I need from LangGraph dot pre-built import create react agent. I'm going to show you why we're going to use that. We are simply going to not make an AI agent from scratch. Rather, we're going to use some pre-built functions that will help speed up the process. And then finally, what I need is from .env import load.env. This we are going to need in order to import my API key into this script. Now let's move ahead. The first thing that I need to do is, of course, I need to import credential, the open API key. So I'm going to do load.env. Okay, now that my API key is loaded, we can go ahead. So right now, let's start with the main function right away. Okay, I'm going to add tools later on, but we don't have to worry about it right now. What I have here for the main function is, so I'm going to define main. Okay, so in this case, we are going to start with some model. The model is obviously going to be a chat OpenAI model. Right now, I don't want any randomness. So if I don't want any randomness, I should put the temperature as 0. The more the temperature, the more the randomness. But right now, I don't want any randomness in my query or in my response. So which is why I put the temperature as 0. Let's move ahead. So right now my tools is going to be an empty list. We're going to populate that later when I define some tools. We don't have to worry about that right now. And then what I want to have is some agent. I want an agent to execute stuff. So I'm going to call agent executor, and we are going to use create react agent, and I'm going to pass on the model, this particular model right now. Okay, and I'm also going to pass on the tools that this agent can use. Okay, I'll explain all of this in just a second, but do bear with me. Apart from that, just to show that some interaction is happening, just like in any AI tool, the AI tool asks you, okay, do you have any questions for me? And you respond, and you can see that which message has been sent by the system or the AI agent and which message has been sent by you. So we're going to do something similar. I'm going to say print, and I'm going to say, welcome, I am your AI assistant, type quit to exit. Okay, of course, we must know when to stop as well. All right, I'm also going to add one more statement right here. You can ask me anything. Okay, of course, we're going to change that in a while, but right now, let's keep it just like that. You can ask me anything. All right, so we're going to change that after a while. I'm also going to remove this terminal right now. We don't need that. All right, now I want this to go in an infinite loop. I want the AI to keep asking questions to the user until and unless the user says it's time to exit or the user says it's time to quit. Now, how do you run an infinite loop in Python? I'm sure we all know that. We use the while clause, while it's true, this loop will keep running. And if at any point of time we want to break the loop, we'll have to put a condition and then put a break afterwards. So how do I run this continuously? We'll say, so while we do have this running continuously, we'll ask the user what do they want, and we'll ask the user for their input. So I'm going to say user input, and I'm going to ask whatever they want, and here's the input. So I'll say whatever you want to say, and then I am also going to do some quality things. So I'm going to strip it off of any excess spaces before, after, or in between. I'm also going to add a new line right here. If the user says to quit, if user input is equal to quit, okay, then of course I need to break this loop. In that case, I'll break it and then we're done. Okay, but if of course the user does not ask to quit, we need to process whatever the user has said and we need to go ahead. Whatever the user has said, we need to process it. So we'll print what my assistant is going to say, what my AI assistant is going to say. Assistant has said this, but now I don't want a new line. I want an end as nothing. I don't want the AI agent to keep saying new lines or to keep printing new lines. I don't want that, but I do want it to start from a new line. Now, the AI agent may have a lot of responses. Okay, so how I don't want to print it all together. I don't want to print it in a single bolt of lightning. What I really want is to stream the message from the AI. You know, just like when you ask ChatGPT something, it basically keeps on typing the messages. So I would like this assistant to also stream that message. Now, how do we do that? I'm going to say for chunk in agent, because it's my agent that's really doing this stuff, right? For chunk in agent executor dot stream. So I don't want all the content at once. I want it to be streamed. So bear with me, this is going to be slightly long, but I'll explain once I'm done. What we have here is, I'll have to add a dictionary. We have messages. This messages can be human message. Okay, so whatever the human message is, the content of the human message has to be the user input. So what I want is, I want to pass on whatever the user has given me as input. Okay, that is my human message. But beyond that, right now I need to pass this on to the model. Okay, and if I get a response, if agent in chunk, so basically if I get the response and the agent is present there in the chunk, and messages in chunk, I'll explain that to you in just a second. Agent, bear with me for a while. For message in chunk, agent messages, print message dot content, comma, and again I don't want a new line, I just want it to be as it is. Okay, and then I do want to print a new line right now. So print this. So let me explain what's going on right now. Let's check out what we have done. I'm going to remove this space right here. All right. So the first thing that we have done is we have loaded up all of our modules that we're going to need. Then using this, we have used the OpenAI API key. Using this, we will be able to ask OpenAI to do the analysis on our behalf. Apart from that, then I have used this model to basically just set up a model that we're going to use. What tools do we have? Right now it's an empty list, so I'm going to skip this for now. Then we have created an agent that is going to do the work on our behalf. This agent is going to use this model for its understanding, for its reasoning, for its working, and it will be able to use these tools. Apart from that, we are now asking, the agent is now asking the user to input something, and while the user does not want to quit the program, the first thing is the user tells the agent what does it want to get done. Then what happens is the agent basically reads the human input, processes it, and then when the OpenAI gives me back its response, okay, if there is a response present, all right, if there's a response present, then I print out that response in chunks. Okay, of course the message could contain a lot of data, but all I really want is what is the content of the message that OpenAI has sent back to me. Now we are going to check out how this works, but I do need to add one final thing, which is something that you might have seen in a lot of Python scripts, especially if you have found them online. The thing that I have to do is if name is equal to main. If you don't understand this, I do recommend that you look this up. This is an absolutely phenomenal thing that a lot of experienced programmers use. If name is equal to main, in that case, I should have put the colon right there, colon, then of course run the main program. Okay, so fingers crossed, let's hope that this works. So I'm going to call up my terminal, and since I am using UV, all right, so this is how I need to run my program. So I'll do something like uv run main.py. Let's hope that this works. So enter. Let's give it a second. Maybe it's loading something up. This is taking, right. So what is it asking? The API client key must be either or by setting. All right. So maybe I've made a mistake. Let me just check it out. What mistake have I made? OpenAI chat temperature tools, nothing. All right. So I figured out where I made a mistake. I should have written OpenAI API key. This is really where I made a mistake. So let's change that. OpenAI API key, saving that. Oh, is this still visible? Yeah, I am going to blur this out, of course. So OpenAI API key, and then let's try to run this once again. All right. Let's hope that this time it works. So we have something here. So let's check it out. So welcome, I am your AI assistant. Type quick to exit. You can ask me anything. All right. So I want to ask, who made the world? All right. So let's hope that it does give me an answer. All right. Oh, so it did give me an answer. The concept of who made the world varies, blah, blah, blah. So we do have an answer. Maybe I want to ask it something else. Okay. So how many species of dogs do we have? I made a mistake while writing that. Okay. But there are over 340 recognized dog breeds and so on. Of course, if I want to quit it, I can just say quit. Okay. And that basically quits the program. Now, we can add a lot more functionality to this right now. I still have this empty list of tools right here. So let's update this as well. So what I can do here is I can add a couple of tools. It's empty. So let's add some tools. Now, so the tool that I'm going to add here is, first of all, I'm going to add a calculator right here. So how do you do that? You do that using something called decorators. So tool, and I'm going to define a calculator, and I'm going to use this as float. Okay, and then this also as a float, and it's going to return a string. Let's say it's going to return a string. I'll show you why are we going to return a string. Okay, and then I'm going to provide it a doc string. A doc string is something that basically tells what that function can do. So I'm going to say useful for performing basic arithmetic. All right, I think this is pretty much it. And then I'm going to say print the tool has been called. This is just to ensure that we know when this tool is being utilized. Tool has been called. Okay, but then what do I want this function to return? What do I want this tool to return? I want this to return an f string. Okay, what this f string will have, the sum of a and b is a plus b. Okay, now let me explain what we have done right here. I have basically defined a tool. Of course, I have to add this tool right here as well. The tool that I'm using here is calculator. Okay, so what it will do is, if I give this assistant a question that can be solved with the help of this tool, then this AI agent is going to use this tool to give me the answer. Okay, now remember that here it's not the AI that's doing the calculation, it's basically this thing right here that's doing the calculation. Okay, not only, of course, could I have done addition, I could have done subtraction, multiplication, division, or any other arithmetic operation as well. So this is a tool that the AI agent is going to use depending on the context that I've given it. I'm going to show you that just now. All right. So let me say, I'm going to run this once again. Okay. Now let's say I ask it a random question. Okay. Let's say I ask it what is the shape of Earth called? Okay. Now I know we all know the shape of the Earth is called oblate spheroid. Okay. But for this particular thing, there was no requirement to call this calculator tool. Okay. But if I were to ask it something, what is the sum of, let's say, 10 and 23? Okay. Now, if you will notice, the sum of 10 and 23 is 33. Okay. The tool hasn't been called, but let's try this once again. Okay. Can you add 10 and 15? Okay. All right. So let's try one more example where we are going to use this tool. I can ask it maybe something like do some basic arithmetic and add 766 and 123. Okay. Now, if you will notice, the assistant says tool has been called. Tool has been called because it tried to run this function right now. It basically called this tool and it said the sum of a and b is a plus b. So it's the sum of 766 plus and 123 is 899. So this is how you can ask AI to use this particular tool. Let's define one more tool. The way that you define it is again pretty much same. You use decorators. So we say tool, not tools, we say tool. And let's say we say hello. All right. And in this case, I just want a name as a variable. It's going to be a string. And it's also going to return a string. Okay. And let me also give a doc string as well. Useful for greeting a user. All right, let's say that this is what this particular tool does. And right now I'm going to say print, just for us to know when this tool has been called. Tool say hello has been called. Okay, so that we know when AI is using this particular tool. And I'm going to say print. I'm also again going to pass an F string. Hello, right now, name, nice to meet you, let's say. All right. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to quit it. Okay. And then I'm going to run this once again. Let me clear this. Let me run this once again. Okay. So let's see. Let's see. So I will say, hi, my name is Aman. Let's try. All right. So it did not work this way. Let's try once again. Hello, greet, sort of. Let's try. Right. Oh, again, it has not called the tool. Let's try. Greet Mr. Sort of. So now, as you can see, now I have asked AI to greet Mr. Saurav and the AI has called the tool. Tool has been called, but it does not say that this tool has been called. Let me rephrase this. Tool calculator has been called. Calculator has been called. So perhaps it could have called this particular tool, but it did not need it. And let's try this once again. Quit. Okay. So what happened? Right, I should have asked it to return this. Okay. So I think now it's fine. So let's run this once again. Hi, I am Aman. It has not yet called the tool, but let's check it out. Okay. Right. So when I said to greet Mr. I understand where am I making a mistake. So right now here in the tools, I have not asked it to use the say hello program as well. Okay, I've added this tool as well. Now the AI agent can use calculator as well as say hello. So let's try to do this once again, saving it, clearing the output, running this once again. Okay, and let's say hello, hi, I am Aman. Okay, and now if you will notice, tool say hello has been called. So basically this has been called and said hello Aman, nice to meet you, because that's what the return statement is. And I'm going to ask it, can you do basic arithmetic and tell me the sum of, let's say, 11323 and let's say 67 blah blah blah. All right, let's check it out. So now as you can see, tool calculator has been called. The sum of this is this and this, which is exactly the return statement of this one. Okay, so this is project 1. I hope you've learned a lot, and I'll see you in project 2 and project 3. This is a very basic one that you can use to dip your toes into how to create AI agents using Python and OpenAI keys. Do like, share, subscribe and comment if you've liked this, and what else would you like to see. In the meanwhile, I will see you in project 2 and project 3. Thank you all.